What's up, guys? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to another car chat. I am chilling here on this dreary day, and I thought that today's topic could be one that is very, very near and dear to my heart and very important to me. It's probably one of the biggest messages that I try to spread on social media, and that message is that being lean is not everything. Being lean is not the epitome of health. So first, getting into, I guess I can give you guys a little backstory about me. Getting into the whole fitness industry, we're bombarded with images of women that are skinny and toned, visible abs, and have a certain body fat percentage. Of course, we start to think that that is the epitome of health, that that's what we need to look like to be healthy and be our best. So, of course, I fell into that trap, and it's honestly what led me to do bodybuilding shows. So if you don't know, I've done 2 bodybuilding shows. I mentioned this, I think, in my second video, my About Me video. And I love bodybuilding. Don't get me wrong. I love the process of it. I love competing. It was a blast. It was such a cool experience. I'll put some pictures up on the screen for you guys to look at from when I competed. But one thing, my biggest takeaway that I came to find from being in the bodybuilding realm and from competing itself is that being lean, especially for a female, is not all that it's cracked up to be. And I will tell you why. So usually one of the first goals that I had whenever I started focusing on physique, on my physique and trying to build my body and change my body. And one thing that a lot of women come to me as far as my online coaching goes is they want to see abs. They want to see their abdominal muscles. They want to see the muscles that are underneath the fat, because we think that that's like the epitome of health and fitness. And whenever we can see our abs, we've made it. And I will tell you guys that when I start to see my abs is whenever I reach that fine line between health and sacrificing health. I would say at about 15% body fat is whenever I personally start to really see visible abs. Not like, hey, there's a shadow of an ab there, but like visible abs, like you flex and your abs are there, and that's about 15%. And just to let you guys know, Olympic athletes compete anywhere from 15 to 20% body fat. Olympic, like elite athletes, they have fat on them. Bodybuilding, female bodybuilding, for the figure division, we usually are pushed to get to around 10% or under. Once we reach that threshold of about 15%, that's when our body begins to fight hard against what we're doing. Basically, what you have to do to get to that level of lean is you have to increase your caloric expenditure through workouts and cardio, and you have to decrease your caloric intake through dieting. And usually for most women, and I say most, I mean like 99.9% of women, there are a few genetic freaks out there that can diet down relatively easily, that can maintain a relatively low body fat percentage with no negative health effects. But they are the outliers. That is not the norm. So a few things that I experienced whenever I got very lean, and I didn't have my body fat checked, but at my leanest, I would guess that I was definitely under 10%. So just for measure, right now I'm sitting at about 155 pounds. At my leanest, I got down to 118 pounds, and this was after my second show. I had visible abs. Everything was very, very lean. You can see it. Some of what I experienced and what I had to go through, I had to be insanely strict on my diet. I do practice what is known as flexible dieting, and that's basically where you have a set protein, carb, and fat amount, and you can eat generally whatever you want within the confines of those protein, carb, and fat goals. But whenever you get down to 1,200 calories, there's only so much wiggle room that you can have with those macros. So typically what I was eating was a lot of vegetables, high volume vegetables, lean protein sources, And that's about it. I mean, it was just a lot of veggies, a lot of protein sources, and very low carbs compared to what I personally prefer and enjoy. I had to be insanely rigid on my diet. I tracked my intake every single day. I weighed everything that I ate, every single thing. I had to weigh, I had to measure, I had to plan ahead. If we were going out to eat, I had to arrange my entire day around it. So any type of family gatherings or stuff with my husband or stuff with friends, I had to plan ahead. I eventually had to get to where I had to bring my food scale so I could measure whatever I was eating to make sure that it fit into my intake for that day. Some people choose to meal prep, but they still have to weigh and measure everything that they eat every single day. I had to stick to my workouts 100%. So this includes the cardio, this includes your lifting. I had to stick with them. And guys, whenever you get down to a lower body fat percentage, and I want to say for a lot of women, it's probably within like 18 to 20% and under is whenever you really, really have to push. Your body fights back because it wants to hold on to fat. Women are supposed to have a certain amount of body fat on us to maintain normal, healthy hormone function. I'll get to that in a second. I couldn't miss workouts. And if I had a bad day, I had to push through the workouts. And that's one of the cool things about bodybuilding, because I did push through so many hard days. It tells you a lot about yourself and what you can do physically and mentally. But at the same time, like, my whole life and my day and my schedule revolved around my workouts and my food. It was day in and day out. And I prepped for 25 weeks for my second show, and at least 30 for my first show. If you think about 6+ months, every single day being 100% on point with nutrition and with your workouts and cardio, yeah, it changes your whole life. Depending on your schedule, I mean, I didn't do a ton of cardio leading up until my second show, but it just depends on your body and depends on how you respond. Some people have to do upwards of an hour plus cardio, just cardio, every single day to get their body down to that body fat percentage to where you have visible abs. This is on top of your lifting that can be anywhere from an hour to 2 hours. So you're going to be spending 3+ hours a day in the gym, 6 to 7 days a week. So the next thing that was part of what encompassed this physique, my hormones were greatly affected. So I know that for men, it's a little bit harder for their hormones to be affected by lower body fat percentage because men usually maintain a slightly lower body fat percentage than women. It's just how things are. It's how we are genetically. But for women, the first thing to go is our period, our menstrual cycle. Basically what happens is whenever you reach a certain body fat percentage, your body tells you that it's not healthy enough to carry a pregnancy, so your period stops. I didn't have a period for 2 years because of what I put my body through with bodybuilding. So I think it was about 6 to 8 weeks out from my first show is whenever I lost my period, and I didn't get it back, and I didn't reverse diet as optimally as I should have after that first show. I didn't give my body enough time to recover, so my period didn't come back before I started prepping for that second show. So I went through a span of 2+ years where I didn't have a menstrual cycle. On the one hand, initially you think it's normal because you hear in the industry that it's normal. But once you start reaching that point, and this can either come from low body fat percentage or extreme dieting or insane amounts of activity. So it's probably a combination of all three that did it for my body. So initially you think that it's kind of cool because you don't have to worry about it. You have that inconvenience kind of out of the way. But it took some research for me to figure out that it puts you at a higher risk for osteoporosis as well as infertility later in life. So you can do some serious damage without even realizing it. So after my second show, when I finally started doing research, I realized that I needed to get my period back and I needed to get my hormones back in order. So I took time and I gained weight and I got my period back. So it just goes to show how greatly our hormones can be affected, and not just from our menstrual cycle. I was probably sleeping on average about 3 to 4 hours a night. I just couldn't sleep. And really what it is biologically my body was waking me up to eat, which is crazy. You don't realize it, but once you're dieted down to a certain level and your body's at a certain body fat percentage, it needs food and it knows that it needs food. So it kept waking me up. But I was prepping for a show, so I wasn't going to eat. So I would just lay there trying to go back to sleep. Sex drive was insanely low. Your body needs to basically save as much energy as it can. So any extra activity it doesn't want. I was more emotional. I was more easily irritated. Of course, I was hungry all the time. I mean, there were days when I had to get my workouts done. I had to get my cardio in, but 6 or so weeks out, there were days that I literally did not want to move because my energy was so low. Physically, you look wonderful. You look great. And people are telling you that you look great. And, everybody's commenting and saying how fabulous you look and you look healthy and you look strong. But on the inside, your body is dying and it's screaming for food, but you don't give it food because you're dieting and you have to stay at that certain body fat percentage. It sounds crazy, doesn't it? It is crazy. Again, this is not bashing people that choose to do bodybuilding. It's just something that I think is so important for people to understand before they make these goals and before they try and push their body to a very, very unhealthy level. So I know that a lot of people make it their goal to get lean and to look like so-and-so and to look like this athlete, but I think it's so important to realize what goes into those physiques. And sometimes the sacrifice is not worth it. And I can tell you guys firsthand that being that lean is not worth risking your health, your family, and your mental well-being over. I didn't even go through the post-show period whenever you do realize that maintaining this level of leanness isn't sustainable and it isn't healthy and you have to gain body fat back. And so you know that you worked so hard to get to this physique, but yet you have to watch your body slowly undo all of those changes that you worked 6 to 8 weeks for. So that's why so many people struggle post-show with binge eating and they struggle with body dysmorphia because their body you're gaining necessary fat. You have to gain fat back. Especially as women, we can't stay that lean. So we have to gain fat back, but it's so hard to come to that realization because you reach this pivotal point of what we used to think that health is when it's not. It's not. I can tell you guys that at this physique, 35 pounds heavier than when I was at my leanest, I sleep better than ever. My workouts are freaking phenomenal. I am stronger than I have ever been. My overall mentality is so good towards food and my body and just life in general. I can actually go out to eat with my husband and not have to bring my food scale and not have to sit and plan. I can't eat later if I eat this. And don't get me wrong, I know that there's a degree of sacrifice that it takes to stay healthy and to stay fit overall. It doesn't have to be to that degree. It doesn't. And it shouldn't be because it's not healthy. And people that are wanting a healthy and sustainable physique, something that they can actually maintain long term, it's not this. That's just a few things that I have learned over the years. Like I said, I love talking about this because I think it's so important for us to realize. I don't think that we can talk about this enough because it's still something that women come to me with weekly about coaching. They want to be at a certain body fat percentage, and a lot of people need to realize what it takes to get there and to stay there and the sacrifices that have to be made in order to get there and stay there. So hopefully you guys have found this helpful. If you have, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I would love to hear your thoughts below. If you guys have ever competed, let me know your experience below. If you had a positive experience with getting to a lower body fat percentage, let me know. I'd love to hear different thoughts and opinions on it. And if y'all have any questions or future topic requests, leave them in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Make sure to find what's healthy for you, and I will see you guys in the next one.